Yeah, I mean, I think as we looked at it relative to what we previewed, it was relatively in line with what we'd expected. Some softening and some choppiness with regard to some of the end demand markets or end market dynamics around PCs. I think you've also got, though, a company that's very disciplined, managing through some softening, what they would call an air pocket in the near term, with a willingness to take on inventory. And at the end of the day, we come in and out of these earnings cycles still thinking that this is an $8+ through cycle EPS story. So I think it was largely in line, not to see the surprise to see the stock kind of trade sideways here, but we still think the longer term positive thesis is very much intact for Micron.
Chris, same question to you. What's your take at this point, particularly given the guidance as Aaron just pointed out, the stock really kind of trading sideways. Expectations perhaps had been for a bigger fall this morning.
Yeah, and the company did a pretty good job of level setting people during investor conferences during the quarter. So, and the problems in PC and the inventory that had built up in some areas of PC, I think were well understood. So really the question now is a mid-cycle correction or the end of the cycle? Management clearly on the call and their commentary suggested they think this is a mid-cycle correction. And we're optimistic as well. One of the things that you're seeing here is the gross margins are staying fairly well intact, flattish guidance as you go into the November quarter. And that's obviously a good sign that is not necessarily indicative of a rollover of the cycle.
Yeah, Aaron, we know you like Micron. Just looking at your coverage overall here, it does seem to be a bit of a mixed bag. What would you steer clear of right now? And what do you like, given all of the dynamics and factors that are affecting semiconductors in general right now?
Yeah, regardless of the near-term choppiness, we very much do like Micron. We think the memory to compute ratio will continue to expand. AI will continue to be a positive secular growth driver, and then kind of the proliferation of compute out at the edge. Outside of Micron, we very much like NVIDIA. That's a platform story. We think there's many tentacles of future growth opportunity for NVIDIA, inclusive of the data center momentum that they're seeing today. And then we also like AMD on a market share gain story thesis continuing to play out. We've steered clear of Intel at this point in our coverage universe on the semi side.
Yeah, Chris, I'll put the same question to you, especially since you also cover, in addition to the chip stocks, Apple, and we've seen that name among the other mega cap tech names getting beaten down a little bit in recent days.
Yeah, and the handset space in general has lagged the broader tech group as you've gone through the year, and a lot of that is uncertainty about what's going to happen on the next iPhone cycle. And so far, so good. And the best way to gauge iPhone demand as you go through a launch is how long it takes to get your iPhone. The delivery times are longer than last year and longer than normal, which is indicating that sell-through is pretty good. We believe, based on our production checks, that Apple has produced more phones for the launch this year than last year, largely because the phone is on time this year, which gives them more selling days. So we do like that. And we like the rest of the Apple handset supply chain. Top of that list would be Qualcomm, and they're partially exposed to Apple. The bigger part of the Qualcomm thesis is the fact that Huawei, the biggest handset supplier in China, is really not able to make high-end handsets anymore because of the trade restrictions. The only place to go to replace Huawei in the market is Qualcomm, who will enable their competitors, allow them to gain some share.